Hi, Nori. Uh, Levi's Strauss & Co. is an iconic American brand. We have $6.6 billion in revenue. We own 5 brands as of right now. Levi, which everybody knows. We have Dockers, we have Signature, we have Denizen, and we have just bought last year Beyond Yoga brand. Levi Strauss & Co. is the largest denim buyer in the world as of right now. Okay. Before I talk about operations in Pakistan, I am currently, as you said, responsible for managing South Asia and East Africa. I manage about 60% of global sourcing for the company. Pakistan, interesting.
So Pakistan doesn't, it's you who manage that volume of business?
Yes, I manage. Each office is an independent office.
Okay.
For us, I am based out of Pakistan because of personal reasons, but I could be based anywhere else as well. So our operations. We started in Pakistan, I believe, in 1991. Because it was quota times, we were mainly knits. Our first denim partners was CBL, which started for our European business. I moved back into Pakistan about 4.5 years ago. I remember in the heydays in 90s, we used to do a maximum of about 7 million units out of Pakistan. That's less than 3% of our global presence. When I joined back in 2005 organization after traveling here and there, I realized our volume had gone down to as low as 1.5% of global business. From that day onwards, the day I came back into Pakistan, we were about 16% of the global business. COVID was, in a way, a blessing for Pakistan. We shot up and we did about 29% of global business in Pakistan. Right now, we are hovering between 26-27%. And that is built on not only just volume. I don't look at volumes. Volumes are not interesting. But what has changed in Pakistan in the last 4.5 years is Pakistan has become one of the best performing offices globally in the last couple of years. And that's what I take pride in. Along with my other big office, which is Bangladesh. Sitting in the third world countries, we are producing the best results for Levi Strauss & Co. Not only Levi Strauss & Co., I think unparalleled by any other organization, sourcing organization anywhere else. So that's about Pakistan. Now, we still have mainly 2 categories in Pakistan, even in this 29%. One is denim bottoms, at least in terms of garments. The percentages in terms of garments, when you look at the fabric, the percentages it shorts up to 38-39% of the business. Most of it is denim bottoms, which is Pakistan's strength today. But we also are big in knits. About 40-45% of our global knits is done in Pakistan at this point in time. So I take pride in both.
That means that obviously, and you take a lot of pride, you said, in the offices that you have built, and these seem to be pretty strong offices. The team you have recruited. So if I may I ask, what has been your approach in terms of building those offices? This includes recruiting the talent, retaining the talent, and grooming them, training them. So how have you approached that?
I realized very quickly in my career that if you wanted to build something good, it has to be built on ethics. Okay. So for me, the first question is always about ethics when I look at people. Then if you want to build globally leading organization, then you need to bring talent in that is the best in the world. There isn't a shortcut to it. So what I've done in Bangladesh and now what I'm doing in Pakistan, I go to the best business schools or the best schools that the countries have. not just business, but any. I mean, I hire political scientists as well in my organization,
Right.
but I hire the best I can get.
Okay.
And that's number two, ethics. Then you hire the best. Then you train them right.
Right.
So what I'd also do is, while my job doesn't ask me to do that or allows me time to do this, so that when I hire these youngsters and I hire them fresh out, not only fresh out, but a lot of them are fresh out of schools, then I mentor them myself. I coach them myself. I don't train them. That's the manager's role. You see, when I look at global leaders, I divide, I mean, of course, there are numerous responsibilities that come to the table, but I divide them in three functions. Okay. And I'm going to talk about all three so you understand. The first one is that you have to have a vision, a vision that is shared by your organization. Not only your leaders, but your organization. So you need to share it so openly. A lot of people made their strategy as something that has to be hidden from teams. So you need to be able to share so that everyone in your organization knows what is the priority and what they need to deliver to. So that's piece number one as a leader. That you have to have a very clear vision. Doesn't mean it doesn't change. Times change left and right. So you change, but then you bring your organization along. So that's one. The other is deliverables. But the deliverables are usually you guide your teams to deliver. The third and the most important part of being a leader in my mind is that you set up organizations that can stay well at the same level long after you are gone.
Right.
So if you create that as three pillars, then you have to find time to create teams. And that's why I will tell you, I went to Bangladesh in 2011. Within a year, that team was recognized as the best team in the world, the youngest and the best team. Now, it is interesting, Pakistan is the youngest team, and they both vie with each other as being the best global team in the world. So I'm very, very proud of what they are accomplishing, but it is easy to mentor also when you hire the best.
Right.
Okay? But to me, I mean, has been the cornerstone of my success and my philosophy, because you can't deliver on your own in that.
Right.
You need to have teams that can compete globally.
Right. So the basics remain the same.
The basics remain the same. Always basics has to remain the same. The basics remain the same, strategies change.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So the teams I am very, very proud of, and I started with this vision about 11 years ago. What will be my personal success? So when I look at what I define it is in 3-4 terms. Do I produce globally leading results? I think I've been doing that for 20 odd years. Nobody even questions that any longer. The second was that do I produce teams that deliver globally leading results? I think that is not even a question mark any longer. The third and the fourth element are linked in. And I will go back to my original conversation on this. My third one is that once I'm gone, and everybody has to go one day, will the offices operate at the same level? And the only way you can ensure that is my fourth one, that do you produce global leaders after you?
Right.
So I'm very, very sure with the talent that I've hired in Bangladesh and Pakistan, we will be producing global leaders of future. Very, very sure about that. So one has to find the time. If that's your vision, that's your hope, then you have to find the time.
So I do want to take the opportunity today to talk about sustainability. And Levi's as an organization and company has always focused on and taken stance on issues that are political, that are social, and then in terms of its supply chain set very aggressive targets on climate change, water, gender. So working with an organization that has such values, and hearing you speak about the person you are and the kind of offices you set up. So How do you look at these issues? How do you influence the suppliers to work with you on those issues? Share with us how your, the approach works in terms of when it comes to you. You have an organization that already focuses on that, and then there's a person like you within the organization.
And I will answer it in two folds. One is I believe that sustainability is not different or is not a separate agenda than business. I believe that you have to do business in a sustainable manner. Mm-hmm. The moment you make that shift in your mind, everything else becomes easy. So having said that, sustainability requirements changes from countries to countries because every country has a different issue on the table. Let me give an example. In Bangladesh, 70% of the workers are already women. So that's not the thing that you need to course correct. So in Pakistan, again, when I came back from 4.5 years ago from Hong Kong, I think we were taking a bit of a beating in terms of sustainability in the world image, at least in Levi's Strauss & Co. A little bit, not too much. But I don't like taking a beating. I want to be the best in the world in whatever we do. So we came up with a vision a little bit before COVID, where we said, well, while the company has its value that the vendors have to adhere to, yes, we put that in place that you have to adhere to them, especially if you want to partner with us in the long run. But beyond that, between the company ask and my ask, we set 5 agendas on the table. And I want to talk about one of the best examples I saw combined do in Pakistan was to provide clean drinking water to the community they operate in. Best example globally. I looked at it and I said, wow, as everybody knows, leather and textiles have been one of the biggest pollutants in the world. So how best to go about is, the first step has to be water. So then I made a requirement for all my partners, mills and vendors in Pakistan to provide clean drinking water to the community they operate in. That's my personal agenda. Then I looked at also the company was asking for clean, recycling water. We know Pakistan is becoming water starved. Karachi is already water starved. Lahore is in verge of becoming water starved. So I have asked all my partners that they need to recycle 75% of the water, reduce and recycle 75% of the water that they use by 2025. Number 2. Number 3, what really hit me also when I came back was the low participation of women in the workforce in Pakistan. And it took me a couple of years because I needed to fix my office first. Because I'm a firm believer that you need to fix your in-house before you go and preach to people. So once I fixed the gender ratio in my own office, I've asked all my vendors that and mills also, that by 2025, and there are interim steps also, that they need to reach 40% women participation in the workforce. And that is my personal agenda, backed by company. So that was number 3. Then we have, of course, climate change is hitting everybody. So it's carbon emissions and it's also renewable energy targets. So when you look at that, if we implement what we have asked, Pakistan will become one of the most sustainable sources globally. And what I'm hoping is when we do this, because we are the biggest buyers in Pakistan, and we work with most of the big names, not all of them, but most of it, but it will put pressure on the ones we don't even work with to keep, because they have to keep up with what's happening in the industry. So they will also have to come to the table. Now that's the social change and climate change we really need. Okay, so we will continue doing business the right way around.
It's commendable that bringing the industry together. So there is a momentum that one expects that would come out of it. It's already there. So happy to partner with you on that. I do want to ask you that, this globally there's so much competitiveness right now. What would be your advice or message to your suppliers, especially in Pakistan, how to stay competitive?
So one needs to stay relevant. I know these times are tough today globally also. So my advice to all my partners, and a lot of them are already partnering with us, is stay relevant. Let's say if I was a supplier, I will divide my buyers into two categories. One are long-term partners, where you look strategically and not go season by season at what you want to do. And then on the other hand, you have those spot buyers,
right,
where you can make your money because they come and go as they need it, and then you can take advantage of that. As long as any one manufacturer balances these two, they will always be okay. The problem happens is when people start taking their long-term buyers as spot buyers.
right,
That's where the relationships go bad.
right.
And I think I'm very honored that I had built great relationships in Bangladesh, but I'm even prouder of the fact that when I came back to Pakistan, I think I have as good or better relationships with my vendors and mills in Pakistan.
I think my last question would be your advice to the young professionals entering the industry.
Yeah, I'm going to link into what I answered first. And this is the advice I give to the people I even hire. So it's not going to be drastically different. Number one, nothing great is ever built if you are not ethical. Whether you are a professional, whether you are a sportsman, ethics is the first thing. The second thing I keep advising people is in today's fast environment, there is a concept that just because you are talented, but talent is dime a dozen in the world. Just because you are good, you will be successful just because you have taken a job. The rules of success globally in any field has not changed in the last 50 to 100 years, and they will not change in future. How you do it might change, what you do might change, but the rules of success have not changed. That means you have to put in the hard work, intelligent hard work, not just hard work. You have to do, you have to deliver, and you have to invest yourself in the career that you want. This idea that you will build careers on 9 to 5, it never applies anywhere in the world. Look at any sportsman of any sports in the world. You dedicate your life to something. So if you want to be the best, yes, one is that you want a job. Then you can do a 9 to 5, 9 to 7 job. But if you want a career and if you want to be the best, then you need to invest yourself in that field. And that's the basic advice. Ethics and this, you combine the two, and there's another third one. Is that always learn. A lot of people look at learning as a time-bound event. They talk about, oh, I've been here 3 years, I've learned everything. I promise everybody that the moment you think that you have learned everything there is to learn is when your downfall starts. I, after 30 years, am learning something new, almost on a yearly basis, or even a daily basis. And you need to keep yourself open to learning. Let's say I will give you my toughest assignment. Was when I took over India in May of last year. Now that's a country where I mean, because of the visa restrictions these days, I can't even travel, and they had major issues. So I had to learn how to manage a source base, which is not easy for a Pakistani, but also it poses its own challenges. But as long as you're willing to change yourself, willing to learn, I had to do it very differently than what I've done in Bangladesh and Pakistan. That's a conversation for a later date. But the ability to learn, along with the first two, will define, are you going to be a success in your career or not? And my advice will remain the same, no matter who you are.
great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful speaking with you. And like you said, we hope to continue these conversations and discussions in the next programs as well. So thank you once again for your time.
Thank you, Noreen. And I would just like to say to the students one thing. I apologize that I am not able to do this interview live. And that's because I'm traveling over the weekend. But hopefully my next session with you will be in person, so you can ask me any questions that you would like.
Wowzers, we're very lucky to have both those amazing people give a talk for us. And obviously, thank you, like Noreen from Crescent, for doing that interview, and thank you, like Zubair from like Levi's Pakistan. What an amazing career he's had in Bangladesh and all over, and taking all that knowledge back to Pakistan again. It was pretty awesome.